This is another case of Dydelphy, but with obstructed hemivagina. Only one vagina is obstructed. And here you can see perfectly well with a three-dimensional ultrasound, when you see this is the sectional plane, and this is the rendering view where you can see right uterus, left uterus, right vagina, and hematocolpus in the left obstructed vagina. And three-dimensional ultrasound can demonstrate it very well. This is a non-communicating horn with a hematometra on the obstructed horn. This is T-shaped uterus, probably related to related sonography, and arcuate uterus, which is a subdivision of septated uterus. Again, three-dimensional ultrasound can demonstrate it very well. But really, the most clinically relevant distinction is between bicornuate and septated uterus, and I don't have to explain this audience that the distinction is very important regarding the operative hysteroscopy. And you don't need 3D ultrasound to see this septum as the fetus sees it. But 3D ultrasound can demonstrate very well the septum at 12 weeks of gestation. Now, when you do two-dimensional ultrasound, you can see two different cavities. You can't differentiate in 2D ultrasound between, especially in the axial plane, between septated and unicornuate uterus. But using three-dimensional ultrasound, you can perfectly well see both cavities, a large septum between them, and intact fundus. This is what differentiates between the bicornuate and the septated uterus. Again, you can see two-dimensional ultrasound, three-dimensional ultrasound, demonstrating very well the septum. You can measure the dimension of the septum and deliver the patient to the hysteroscopist. Other examples of very large septum. Here, the two-dimensional versus the three-dimensional ultrasound showing the septated uterus. What about uterine Bicornis? There is a large septum between both uterus, but there is no uterine contour, no myometrium between them. The uterine myometrium is concave in comparison to the convex fundus in septated uterus. Other example of bicornuate uterus. Another example, you can see the concave fundus. And here you can see very well the distinction between septated uterus, intact septum, and bicornuate uterus. And another example of septated uterus, you can see a large septum, so-called two cornua, but the fundus is intact. That's why this is septated uterus, and this is bicornuate uterus. You can combine hydrosonography with three-dimensional ultrasound. As you can see here, the fluid inside the uterine cavity, demonstrating very well here in this case is subseptated uterus. Another case with sonohysterography of complete septated uterus. You can see the fluid in both cavities, and the large septum here is demonstrated very well. So if we'll go step by step from 2D to 3D, this is the two-dimensional ultrasound. This is the three-dimensional sweep. You can manipulate the A and B planes, and the final rendering is the septated uterus, as you can see here. Here you can see a live demonstration of this is the axial plane. You can see two cavities. You can't differentiate if this is a septated or bicornuate, but here you can see that the fundus is intact. That's why it is septated uterus. And I challenge the audience with a dilemma that we encounter a lot. A young primipara comes to you to a routine examination. She is married for 1 year. She's never been pregnant. On routine examination, you find a large septated uterus. The septum is over 50% of the uterine cavity. What should we do with her? To operate or not to operate? This is the question. And I'll leave it to the discussion in the end of the presentation. A very large, 2 different cases of very large septum in primipara, never wanted to conceive, never tried to conceive. Do we have to operate her or not? What do I mean by this slide? It's not always what you think in the first glance. In every field in medicine, and especially in ultrasound, it's not the first impression what you think. And you have to think of differential diagnosis. Here only one example. Is this a bicornuate uterus with large septum between them? No. This is a normal uterus with large myoma, subserous myoma on the side of the uterus. This is another example of Asherman syndrome using 3-dimensional ultrasound. As you can see here, very narrow uterine cavity left by the adhesions. And to end, this is an infertility congress, and this is a small, cute advice for the infertility people. And I thank you for your attention.